So I'm going to talk about reproductive justice and how, as reproductive justice advocates, we also are making connections to the human rights movement and the importance of incorporating the values of human rights as we fight for reproductive health rights and justice for all. The movement for reproductive health and rights is one that is consistently playing defense, battling anti-choice, anti-women, and anti-health policies, rhetoric, and countering conservative and very sophisticated conservative grassroots organizing. In the past 6 years, and it's only history goes much longer, but in the past 6 years alone, we have had very little opportunity to promote proactive, let alone progressive policies. So many of you know we are losing ground on this particular issue. And there has been a need to rethink this movement of reproductive health and rights and figure out a way to reach out to a broader audience and connect with a diverse and changing population. And most importantly, to develop organizing campaigns and policies that resonate with what women need in this country. That is why we're moving towards a new vision, a vision that places reproductive health and rights issues within a broader social justice context, and one that seeks to bring an end to poverty and discrimination and affirms human dignity and the right to self-determination. Now, this may not seem as necessarily new, but as many of you know, historically, the reproductive rights and reproductive health movements haven't really embraced human rights values to the core. And reproductive justice, on the other hand, not only embraces values of dignity, self-determination, but also applies these principles to the women's ability to control their own bodies and to really be able to have healthy families and healthy communities. We recognize that women of color, young women, and low-income women have had very limited access to government institutions and officials that are responsible for setting and implementing policies that directly affect our lives. So we can't rely on the Constitution and our government to do this for us. And that is why reproductive justice is so powerful. By setting a reproductive justice platform, we bring the needs and the perspectives of the most marginalized people in our communities to the center. And this means ensuring that all women, including low-income women, women of color, immigrant women, young women, are guaranteed access to the full range of reproductive health care services. And this full range still includes abortion rights, but it's just one of many different important reproductive health care services. We are able to discuss broader family planning options, health care for women who carry a pregnancy to term, and also to develop an agenda that really reflects the lives of women. Through a reproductive justice platform, we understand that women have multiple identities. We're Latinas, we're immigrants, we're queer, we carry multiple experiences, we're part of multiple communities, and our wombs are just one aspect of our entire selves. Reproductive justice allows us to make deep connections to race, class, and sexuality. We see every individual as having a human right to reproductive health care services. This means that we seek universal health care that includes contraception, abortion, as well as the full range of basic health services, and doesn't discriminate based on one's ability to pay, immigration status, or sexual orientation. It also means that we value the human right of all individuals to be treated with dignity and respect in the healthcare system, and to be free of reproductive oppression, and to guarantee their families and communities a healthy and safe environment. When we're living at a time where women, not so long ago, and in many instances still continues, were sterilized without their informed consent, or where state legislatures continue to introduce policies that restrict basic access like prenatal care to women simply because of their immigration status, where women are being turned away from clinics, again, because of their inability to pay or their immigration status, we see how how women's human rights are being violated. So who's going to advocate for women who are not citizens, who can't rely on the US government for their protection and on the Constitution? And that is what we have to gain by adopting reproductive justice platform that connects with human rights. Because if we just fight for legal rights, we find ourselves depending on a quote-unquote fair judiciary when we know that that's not necessarily the case right now. And if we only fight for access, so meaning that our clinics are open, that services are available, we're not taking into account the fact that some people may not be able to pay, or some people may fear accessing services now because of the kind of climate that we live in, and they may be fear of being deported. Or if you're a young woman, fear that it's not a confidential service and that your parents are going to find out. So that is why reproductive justice is so critical. We can ensure that all women have the ability to make decisions about our futures, to have healthy families, healthy communities, and this is not just for women of color. It impacts and benefits everyone. If all women experience full reproductive justice, then it deeply affects their ability and our ability to exercise all other human rights. So many of you, when we think reproductive rights, reproductive justice, is that talking about me? We think about it in this term. If you're having sex, if you want to have sex, if you want to have sex free of discrimination, free of judgment, the ability to be able to plan your families, this is talking about you and thinking about how our rights are being violated and how this is also a human right, then we can begin to embrace reproductive justice as well. And I'm really happy that we were able to include reproductive justice when we talk about human rights, because many times we're not thinking about our ability to have sex free from discrimination and violence, etc. So this is just one step, and I hope that, depending on where you are, you value the core fundamental principles of human rights, and that you will also extend those to reproductive justice. So thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed being here today.